Hello students, and welcome to Graphing 101 with Mr. Small 101. So, we're going to talk about how to graph an equation in slope-intercept form. Now first of all, you need to know what slope-intercept form is in order to graph it. Slope-intercept form, it's simple. It is called slope-intercept form because it tells you the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, not the x-intercept, the y-intercept, meaning it's on the y-axis. So these two things, the m in this generic equation is the slope. It's also the coefficient. Okay, so just remember, it is right beside the x variable in this form. Then you have the constant b, okay, which is just a number, no variable with it, it's a constant. Plus or minus, the sign goes with that y-intercept, which is what this is. The b is the y-intercept. So slope-intercept form, you need to know that. You need to memorize that. You need to memorize it. So in order to graph this, I'm going to go over the steps. Then we will do an example. I will talk through the steps. First, you want to begin by plotting the y-intercept. Now you see how this is clever? See, begin, b, begin, b, begin, b. Begin starts with b. Begin by plotting the y-intercept. It's an ordered pair, so you can plot it. Cool. So this is actually what you need to know about the y-intercept is that whatever number this is, that's the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. The x-coordinate is 0 because it does not go anywhere on the x-axis to the left or right, so to speak, when we do. And again, you'll see this when we do an example. So begin by plotting the y-intercept. Then you move. So from the y-intercept, you move to make new points using the slope. And what you're going to do is you're going to move in the rise/fall, and then you're going to run. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to set this up, then I'm going to talk through what I'm doing from afar. There is a nice equation there. Look at that thing. Now that equation is in standard form. Now the reason I do this is to accompany another video, but just to kind of show you really quickly how this works. We're graphing from slope-intercept form, so we're actually going to change this. So first of all, you need to know that that's a 1 actually in front of this. It's the phantom 1. The coefficient of that is 1. Okay, we are trying to get 1y by itself because remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where y is by itself. So what we're going to do first is we're going to subtract 1x. So we're going to use inverse operations to make 0 here. That makes 0 when you add or subtract, so to speak, the opposite. Okay. Over here you can actually say, okay, since there are no x's, you know you can add 0 x's to anything. You can add any x's, anything 0 you can add. So I can make up 0 x's, and then that helps me to know I can subtract 1x here. What remains, you got to bring down that negative, just so you know. People forget that a lot. Now we have negative 2y is equal to 12 minus 1x. Okay, at this point, what we're going to do is now we're going to identify the coefficient, which is negative 2 of the y, that is. There's a coefficient here as well, but we want to get y by itself, so we can identify the coefficient. And divide by 2 to all of the terms. Okay, yeah, you might say, Mr. Small, wait, I thought I couldn't combine unlike terms. Sure, you can't. But combine, that vocabulary word just means add or subtract. Okay, but dividing is a different story. We can divide by the coefficient, and now we end up having y equals negative 6, negative 1 divided by negative 2 plus 1/2 x. Okay, if I end up just, sorry, but if I end up just kind of rewriting this, now my new equation is y equals 1/2 x minus 6. Okay? If I did that correctly from memory, from just there. We're going to graph this one either way. I just realized I didn't really look at that carefully. Pretty sure this was the equation from standard form. So we're going to graph this either way you cut it. Okay? Now, to graph it, I'm going to walk through these steps again. Here's my coordinate grid, my grid board, if you will. All right. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to use the color coding, I'm going to begin with the y-intercept. Now, so here's what I know. I know that this is the slope, okay? And I know that this, b, is the y-intercept. Sometimes if the slope is not in a fraction, you would put it into a fraction. In this case, it's in a fraction. All right, that is one of the problems that, procedural, I call them procedural problems that students face. They don't know that you're supposed to use it as a fraction, but we're good already. That's 1/2. This y-intercept is actually 0, -6. So that's what we're working with, just in case you're wondering as I talk through. So here we go. We're going to plot 0, -6. We're going to begin by plotting 0, -6. Well, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right here, because, folks, this is the y-intercept. So it's on the y-axis, and it's in the negative side of the axis there, so 0, -6. Now what we can do is we can move from the y-intercept to make new points. So I know that my movement is going to be up 1/2. Okay, remember my slope is +1/+2. So I have risen 1 and I rose 1 and I ran 2, if you will. Rise over run. I can also, however, do this. I can go 1, 2 like this, because mathematically that's a change of -1 and -2, which ends up negative divided by a negative is a positive. So then what ends up, again, this is if I would continue, I would just go up 1/2. I'd make several points. 2, 2. Another thing to think about, and this is my line is now graphed, is the idea of negative versus positive slopes, which I've seen students really kind of mess up on at times. Going back to the original equation, y equals 1/2 x minus 6, okay? The line is going to be a positive line. Well, what does that mean, Mr. Small? Well, you read a line from left to right. Okay, so if the line is positive, that means it is going up. Get it? Positive from the left to the right. Another way to think about this is if I were to turn this line a little bit, this kind of makes a little P, if you will. I mean, it's a slanted P, granted. Okay, it also goes from quadrant 3 to quadrant 1, if you think about it being, again, left to right. So I should have a line like this. It's positive, because again, 1/2 is positive. Has nothing to do with this. That's just the y-intercept. Has nothing to do with positive versus negative. Positive, negative is all about that slope. And there you have it. Okay, so to recap, you watched me begin with the y-intercept. You watched me begin with the y-intercept. Then you watched me move with the slope. You watched me move with the slope. Get it? That's that song, that really cool one. Whip and Nene, but I changed it. So I give credit to the Whip and Nene for that. So begin with the y-intercept. And watch me move with the slope. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video. That should help you graph better.